It is week 7 in the NFL, and we got a lot to talk about tonight. It's been a busy week. Of course, we got two major trades in the NFL. We got some quarterback controversy in Pittsburgh. We got some backfields that are a little bit cloudy. We loaded all those up into the roulette wheel tonight. Of course, we'll be doing our underdog pick'ems of the week. And as always, a forgotten fantasy player and our nonsense draft, so hang tight.
Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on? And welcome to episode 399. We are one episode away from 400. Of course, I'm your host, Jeff Lambert. Follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are part of the Going for Two Live podcast network. We're on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, syndicated in all major podcast networks, and you can find us at goingfor2.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out tremendously. I'm here with my co-host, as always, Ryan. What's up, man?
No, not much. Just enjoying the way the season's turned around a little bit.
Yeah, it was a little rough in the beginning there for you, as a Ravens fan. It's a little rough for us.
Came around, baby. Came around.
Yeah, y'all came around. Y'all looking pretty good now. So good stuff. All right, also joining us tonight for the first time, Susan, and you can follow her over at Gridiron_Goddess on Instagram. So not on Twitter, but on Instagram. Make sure you go over there and follow her. Susan, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm good. My cat has decided to make an appearance. Sorry, everybody. She jumped into my lap right as we started.
I didn't have the cat's intro listed on my show.
This is Ophelia.
Ophelia. So real quick,
yeah.
give us a rundown of what you do, over on Instagram and what you do in the fancy space in general.
Yeah, so my aim is to help new female fantasy football players. There's not a huge space in the fantasy industry specifically for women, and so it's kind of a hole I'm starting to fill, and giving really basic fantasy advice. Just reminders like get those players out of your flex position from Thursday night. Here's what yards after the catch means, those type of things to get new players the ability to make good decisions without everything being slammed down their throat at once.
Yeah, that's a pretty good thing. That's something that a lot of people overlook in the content is the newbies, right? The people that never played before. I run a work league and there's 4 people in that league. 2 of them are female that have never played before. So just kind of walking them through like, okay, just because AJ Brown had a bad week 1, don't drop him in week 2.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Hold on to him, those kind of things. So yeah, it's.
What does it mean when we're telling you to stream the tight end position? What does it mean when we say kickers? It's okay, like all of that. So
exactly, and you
Listen, I've been playing fantasy 15 years, and I still need to be reminded to take people out move people out of the flex on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have clothing too, right?
Yeah, so this is one of my branded hats. We've got hats, we've got customizable shirts. We are, and then you can pick like a team. You can put it in your team colors, whether it's an NFL team, if you want to put your the city for the NFL team, or you have a high school team that you're like super involved for. Say you have a high school student who's a player, names on the back, stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
The website is thegridirongoddess.com. There's also blogs that talk about beginning fantasy football tips for even new commissioners, women who have started getting into the commissioning space. There's tips on how to be a good commissioner. over there on the blog too. So
Good stuff. Great stuff. All right.
Yeah.
As always, the show
thanks,
is brought.
Jamie. Great.
Yeah, Jamie in the chat. He's sending everybody your way, and I don't know if you know who Jamie is, but he's in every single podcast. He pops in every podcast.
I
So
do. I think
Once you
I'm
leave,
in a league. I think I'm in a league with you, Jamie.
it's quite possible.
Jamie never disappears. He's always there. Once you met him, he's there.
Yeah, 100%. All right. As always, tonight's show brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their best ball leagues, huge tournaments, private leagues, daily best ball as well. They also do pick'ems for all major sports, which, of course, tonight we'll be doing our pick'ems of the week. We did have a bad week last week. Unfortunately, Caleb Williams was 8 yards short of hitting five in. It would have been 5 in a row if he would have gotten his 246 last week.
Whose pick was that? Was that yours or was
That was
his?
no, that was the guest pick. Mine came through. Mine was Debo Samuel for 75 yards.
Never coming back.
Nice.
Yeah, he's not allowed back
He's
anymore.
No, he's awesome. I'm just gonna pick the same one every single week till it doesn't go.
Yeah, hey, it's a pretty good bet to take. As always, use our promo code GF2 to get up to $1,000 in bonus bucks. It's as simple as that. Download the app, sign up using our promo code GF2, and you can start doing your pick'ems as well. All right, let's get to our nonsense draft for the night.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right, tonight we are drafting. I've kind of made all the October shows sort of fall themed or Halloween themed or something for October. So tonight we're drafting favorite fall food or beverage, anything that reminds you of fall. And as always, the guest gets to go first. So Susan, you got the 101 here.
Okay, so I'm trying to decide if I should go like classic to like get the win, like the best team, or if I should just go for what I want. I think I'm gonna go for just what I want here, and I'm gonna go with a hot toddy. With hot tea, like a cinnamon tea. It's like a cinnamon apple tea with a little bourbon in it.
Yeah,
so good.
I like you already.
All right, Ryan, what you got for the 102?
I mean, I'm not going to pumpkin beer. I'm drinking one now. It's great.
There you go.
For me, more specific, Blockhouse Pumpkin is the best, but there's a whole bunch of them. I'm a local one here. Shout out to Union Brothers. But yeah, I'm going pumpkin beer.
Nice. All right, I'm up at the 103. I don't know if this counts as the same thing, but I went with the cinnamon whiskey apple cider. I don't know if that's...
Oh, no, not the same. Mine is like a tea.
Same.
Yours is different. Yeah, that's great.
There's a place I go local here. It's a brewery, and they got like a big outdoor place, and they do apple cider with cinnamon whiskey. It's pretty damn good. So it's nice and warm.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah,
that sounds really good. Yeah.
All right, back to you, Susan.
Okay, so I'm glad I went class. I didn't go because now I can get classic. I mean, you got to go pumpkin pie, right? I mean,
gotta have pumpkin pie.
Gotta have pumpkin pie with the dollop of Cool Whip.
Yep, 100%.
Cool Whip over whipped cream, by the way. Maybe that's a hot take, but
agreed. Cool Whip over whipped cream. I'm with you on it.
Okay.
All right, Ryan, 202.
I mean, we've let the 101 slide far enough. It's a good old fashioned PSL spice pumpkin spice latte.
Yes.
Let's be honest. It's the winner.
It started the whole pumpkin spice trend, right? It was just pumpkin spice latte. Now everything is pumpkin spice. You can get pumpkin spice soap now.
And Twinkies. Well, I can't find regular Twinkies at the store. They're all pumpkin. I guess maybe we shouldn't be talking about possible picks. I didn't take it because I don't drink coffee.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. I don't drink coffee, so I'm a tea drinker. I don't drink coffee. So I was like, I can't take a PSL. I'm not going to drink it.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
I go both ways. I drink tea in the morning and drink coffee in the afternoon. So
there you go.
Do a little bit of both.
I drink coffee all day.
Yeah.
it's survival.
Yeah.
All right, I'm up at the 203, and I got kind of a theme, I guess, going on here. So there's a pumpkin patch that we've taken to my daughter to pretty much every year of her life called Belvedere, and they make homemade apple cider donuts, and they're just delicious. They're warm when you get them because they make them right there. It is the perfect thing, and we're going there in 2 weeks, and I can't wait to go get me.
Sounds so good.
So good. All right, Susan, this is your last pick here at the 301. What you got?
Okay, this is probably silly. I'm going to go green bean casserole.
That is a little bit interesting. I didn't
because I associate it with Thanksgiving. And like you only have it once a year. Maybe you do it again at Christmas, but it is my favorite of the Thanksgiving sides, so I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, fair. I like that. Jamie's got one. He says it's a weird one, but his is just a Butterfinger candy bar. I guess because the Simpsons have an old commercial with the Butterfinger in there, and their spooky Halloween episodes. So yeah,
Well, and I only eat them around Halloween when they end up in like my kid's candy bucket.
fair enough.
That's when I get a Butterfinger.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. All right, Ryan, what's your last pick?
I'm gonna go with Oktoberfest beers. We're just getting all the beer around here and every drink possible, but all the good Oktoberfest beers,
Yes,
especially
absolutely.
out of the big old mugs.
Yep, good stuff. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, I will round it off here with apple pie. I just love me some cinnamon apple
Oh
pie.
yeah, there you go.
Apple pie. My mother-in-law makes it. Can't go wrong with apple pie for sure. It's one of the classics. So that is my 303. All right, that wraps up our nonsense draft. Let's go ahead and hit the roulette wheel.
Let's get ready for Armchair Fantasy Roulette.
All right, you know how this works. I think this is the most topics I've ever loaded into the
Dude, that's so many topics.
We got
That's
20.
a lot. Yeah.
We likely won't get to all of them, but there was just a lot going on this week that I put a lot of things into the wheel. So let's go ahead and hit it and see what our first topic is. All right. First off the board here, I told Jamie I'd put it in. I didn't know if we would get to it or not, but look at that. First off the board, Jamie, who's in the chat. This is a trade that he has right now potentially, where he is receiving Rashee Rice, Trey Benson, and a 25 first, and he's giving up A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift. Ryan, I'm gonna go to you first here. He didn't give us any information as far as Superflex or anything else, but just at face value here, what side do you like?
I'm embarrassed for Jamie for sharing that with us as a longtime listener to the draft. That should have been an immediate reject of a trade. AJ Brown's great. DeAndre Swift, while he started slow, he is RB6 right now and has finished top 4 in the past. Though he's finished top 6 in the last 2, 4, and 6 in the last 3 weeks, because that offense is going. Trey Benson's still backup. I know this is probably a rebuild if he's doing this deal, but you're getting 2 higher value players. I know the first is cool and all, but no.
Yeah, you're not.
No, like
right.
Jamie, come on, man. You know better. I wouldn't. Jamie, stop.
Jamie's trying to justify.
I normally wouldn't be this direct about this, but Jamie knows better because he's
So it's a late first.
It's
so it's coming from a contender.
Yep. So it'd be a late first, Rashee Rice, Trey Benson, and giving up A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift. What's your take here, Susan?
Yeah, I'm with Ryan. I'm on the Brown Swift side. Brown is just too valuable in his offense to get a player that you can't use for a year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm on the A.J. Brown side too. I think Jamie thinks, I don't know, I don't see how this really benefits you. I think Trey Benson could end up being a nothing burger. I mean, I know he's a backup right now, and we hope that he's going to be the starter eventually and going to be good, but I think I like A.J. Brown's side a little bit better than this. Jamie's saying that another podcast told him that it was a smash pick, but he's hesitant. So I think I'm still keeping A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift for sure.
Well, I think the context, though, is pretty important here. Are you trying to get lowest max points? Are you like, is this?
Says he's 2-4 and he's 9th in points right now. So maybe he is thinking rebuild for next year. Get obviously Rashee Rice is going to give you no points this year. Trey Benson's not going to give you too many points this year. So maybe he's just trying to tank. I don't know if he still owns his own first or not. Maybe he owns his own first and he's trying to get a higher pick.
Yeah, well, because the other thing too is supposedly this next draft class is really running back heavy. So, I mean, that does change it a little if you're just if you're trying to tank, because if you break it down that way, A.J. Brown and Rice for the first, like for that, I would try to get a little more for Swift. maybe break it up and take Rice in the first for Brown and see if you can get more for Swift from someone else.
Yeah, that might work as well. I like that. And he does say he has his own first, and he's trying to decide if he wants to tank or make a fight for the playoffs. Obviously, if he keeps AJ Brown and Swift, he's probably making a fight for the playoffs.
This is I'm going to tank decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Brown's still only 27 and Swift is only 25.
Yeah.
Like, they're not old.
Agreed. We do have a couple questions in the chat that I want to make sure we get to real quick. We have one from Hawk Talk. Wants to know, should I trade Gibbs and Amari for Tyreek Hill, Ryan?
No.
No.
I misread it when I first saw it. I thought they were saying Amari and Tyreek for Gibbs, and I still would have said no. I want Gibbs in that. I want Gibbs over everything in that trade, over both pieces. Amari should move into wide receiver 2 position now. Gibbs is still a top 12 running back, and Tyreek is in a crippled offense without Tua.
Yep.
And we don't know when Tua's coming back, and if he does, if he's going to return to form and how long he'll be there.
Yeah.
And he's also getting towards the wrong age of 30, side 30.
Yeah.
No.
Are you in the same position there, Susan?
Yeah, I think so. Especially if this is dynasty. I know like some people who think that this is too much for Tyreek right now.
Yeah, agreed. He's what, 31 years old, Ryan? Is that how Tyreek Hill is?
Yeah. And also, why would you want him in redraft this year, even if it was redraft?
Yeah.
I mean, Tua is not coming back until midway through the season, and at that point, it may be too late.
Yep. Yeah, Jamie says he wouldn't
to make Tyreek useful
alone for Tyreek, and I think I agree there. I think holding pat there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the wheel one more time here.
We have that. There's one from Fetty Wap in there too.
Is there one from Fetty Wap? All right, we'll get to that one.
Yeah.
Topic here.
And he's a rapper, so
yeah,
that one. He needs to answer first.
All right, let's get to Fetty Wap's question, and then we'll get to the Chris O'Brien tweet here that we've got on the screen. So Fetty Wap says, I have Lamar at QB. I had J Love as a backup. I got potentially someone to trade Mahomes and Deontay Johnson for Love. Do I do it? Dynasty. I'm assuming this is Superflex. Got to be Superflex, I would assume. Ryan, what are your thoughts here?
Let's hear her first. You went to me first, last two.
Oh, Susan, what do you think on this one here? He has Lamar at QB. He says J Love as a backup, so maybe it is one QB.
That would make me think it's one QB.
Yeah,
and I don't know that I would do that. Because Mahomes it's not that Mahomes is not good, it's that the offense has changed.
Yeah.
And so he's not having to sling it down the field anymore the way that he used to, which has lowered his fantasy value. So I don't think that Deontay Johnson makes up for the difference.
Yeah, I'm torn here because I'm looking at it. I'm thinking one QB, like, having Lamar and Mahomes versus Lamar and J Love, is that really that much of a difference? Ryan, I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I'm making the trade. Deontay Johnson, I know he has like a stench to him as a fantasy player, but he's still a wide receiver 20, and that gives you somebody you can start in, week out, opposed to a backup quarterback in this being not a super flex league.
Yeah,
so I'm going to do that. Like the backup, if Patrick Mahomes is my backup quarterback, I'm stoked. And if he hits a hot streak or has the right game, you can start him. Like, this is for a flex or flex spot, wide receiver 2, like anywhere, but he's a top 20 receiver right now, and he's getting fed.
Yeah.
Until Bryce Young comes back.
I don't think he is. Deontay Johnson's third in targets right now in the league.
Yeah, and I think he's first in red zone targets or end zone targets right now too. Yeah. It's a
weird stench about him.
Tough call. Like Susan said, Mahomes has not been in fantasy. He's not been Mahomes, but in a one quarterback league, in a one quarterback league, I think I'm okay with having Mahomes as my backup. I'm going to start Lamar,
Yeah.
and I get that.
And you can trade Mahomes for somebody because of the name value alone later.
Yeah, and then like Jay,
Yeah.
basically getting DJ for free at this point because
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Mahomes and Jay Love are in that same sort of tier. Maybe Jordan Love's a little bit lower in name value, but as far as production right now, Jordan Love is better than Mahomes. So I don't know. It's a tough call for sure. But I think I'm pulling the trigger as well.
Him sitting on the bench, I think it makes the difference here.
Agreed.
You guys have talked me into it. It makes sense to do it.
Yeah, Superflex changes it a little bit, but I think if he's
Yeah.
just your backup quarterback, yeah, essentially you're going to be
Yeah.
starting him for 1 week. I take that trade. All right, this one from Chris O'Brien at 17 game pace. He's talking about buy lows, right? And he's talking about George Pickens. Pickens is disappointed so hard this year, making him dirt cheap. There's still reasons to be optimistic. Russell Wilson is going to start week 7, we think. He's third in target share at 29%. So, Ryan, let me ask you. Actually, Susan, let me ask you again. George Pickens. Are you buying low on George Pickens? Do you think that with Russell Wilson under center, he could have a resurgence this year?
I think it depends on your roster. If you can afford Pickens to be your flex, then yeah, I'm buying low. If Pickens is gonna have to be your wide receiver 2, to me, that's still questionable because we don't know what's happening with the quarterback situation. I do think if Russ comes back and keeps the job from Justin Fields, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be okay. But now clarify, I am a risk-averse fantasy player. I am not the person who goes out and makes trades, and I am very much a floor. I'm a floor player for the most part. And
Makes sense.
so, if he's gonna be your wide receiver 3, if he's gonna be your flex, great. Yeah, go for it, buy him. But if you're having to start him every week, that would make me a little more cautious.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? I know you were a big Pickens fan preseason.
So I'm kind of the opposite. I used to be a floor player, and I kind of switched over to just win or nothing. But with Pickens, I think Russ Wilson, if you can guarantee me he's the starter, I think Pickens is a guy because we've seen enough of Russell Wilson to know what he likes and who he targets. When he was in Seattle, it was his big wide receiver on the outside, DK Metcalf. When he was in Denver, it was Cortland Sutton. When Cortland Sutton was hurt, it was Tim Patrick. All these receivers, 6'3", 6'4", outside vertical threats you can throw the ball up to. It may not always be accurate. It may not always be pretty, but it feeds to George Pickens, and he's still the only target. Now, a week-to-week basis with him this year, I think he's a boomer bust play, but I think he's the kind of guy who can get to 1,100 yards in the most frustrating way and makes him a starting caliber player
Yep.
Yeah.
with upside. Like he has touchdown potential. He has 3 for 110 and 2 touchdown potential at any given week. He's a huge boomer bust play, and like you said, based on your team build, even if he's not your wide receiver, if he's your wide receiver 2, and you have somebody who produces every week like Amon-Ra St. Brown on your team, like if you have a solid player, you can take that chance with him. But I think it could be worth it if Russell Wilson's there. If it's Justin Fields and he gets that job back, count me out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the key, right? I mean, you'd be buying them now free.
You have to take the chance now if you think Russell Wilson's going to keep the job.
Yep. Yep.
And it's weird because it seems like the team and the players, there's been comments made about it, and the players want Fields at this point. So it might get ugly. It might be a completely stay away, but if the price is right, and I think anybody who has him, as somebody who has a lot of him, are disgusted and want to move on, I think you can get him at a discount.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can get him at a discount. I think he has disappointed. I think some of the advanced metrics show that he should be doing better than he is. Like he mentions, third in
That
target share and separation has been really good for him. He's just not getting the good target.
His air yard's really high too.
Air yards are pretty high as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen the metrics for him, so I was just
Yeah,
That
he's
one game, I don't even think he actually ran once the whole game. He just jogged the whole time.
yeah.
2
There was
weeks ago,
that.
that Dallas game.
Yep,
It was the last 2 weeks been ugly to watch, but yeah,
yep. Agreed.
he's
Yeah,
super he's super frustrating.
he is, and I have a lot of him in best ball, so I'm hoping that
I have a lot of him in fantasy because
yeah,
I like the price.
Best ball
And
is where to have him. If
yeah,
you're gonna have
best
him,
ball is the
best
place to
ball's
have.
the place to have him.
Yeah.
And, two, some people just don't like to deal with the diva players on
yeah,
their rosters. Because I mean, you just look at what happened with Romeo Doubs. And
yeah.
they literally benched him because of his behavior for a game, and
Yep.
you're like, "Well, okay."
Now what?
Yeah, so
Yep.
just
Look at
something to
every
think about too.
every good Steelers receiver for the past decade.
Yeah, it's
It's been this.
pretty much their MO right now. All right, let's get our next topic up here. All right, this one is from Kevin, a friend of the podcast. Actually, used to have his show on our network at one point. I'd probably kick the tires on Dalton Kincaid's value in your dynasty league. I wasn't in on his offseason price, but could be worth trying to add now on a contender or a rebuilding roster. So just in general, Ryan, your thoughts on Kincaid, who's been pretty terrible, especially before you probably drafted him in redraft or even in dynasty.
Mhm.
Is he worth buying low at this point? Now you got Amari Cooper in that offense too to contend with some targets.
So I think Cooper helps him, honestly. And it takes away double teams because that happens a lot. Um, I think you can go for Kincaid, but I think you have to be sneaky about it. And if you put Kincaid as the main part of a trade, I think you're going to overpay for Kincaid still at this point. If you put him as a secondary part of the trade or put him in later during counters, I think you have a chance to get him at a discount. This is a completely around the bush answer, but I think that's the way you get Kincaid for cheap. I don't think you can say, "Hey, I'm interested in Dalton Kincaid," because they're gonna be, "Oh, he's young. It's just been a couple weird games,"
Yeah.
and they're gonna try to talk the price up on you. But if you get him as part of something else, I think you get him a value.
A
Yeah.
couple weird games. It's been like
Yeah.
It's been
all
six.
season.
It's been six. But he's still 10 he's still 10 and 11 because the position's garbage.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I'd kick the tires and try to get him cheap as an add-on on a trade.
Yeah. Where do you fall on Kincaid, Susan?
See, and I worry about Cooper showing up. I get what you mean about taking away some double teams, but I think now that like an actual wide receiver one is showing up, I mean, he could be doing. I think he could definitely be doing more than what he is right now, and it's just not happening. I don't know if the offensive scheme is now just less tight end heavy. The tight end went to touchdown went to Dawson Knox last week.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The
Yeah,
the
I think he led that team in targets and receptions, but he had like 50 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all behind the line of scrimmage
at some
stuff.
point get
For
downfield.
So,
Kincaid,
yeah.
Yeah.
he's still sixth in targets for the position right now.
Yeah. Targets are there.
You
They're just not
targets are there.
field. There's not the targets we want.
When the targets are there, it can come. We're still chasing
If
tight end.
I think if the tight end position were not the S show that it is right now, this would be like, "Nah, I'm not messing with this."
Yeah.
But the fact that with what's happening, he is the tight end 11, that makes it more of a consideration.
It's so gross.
Yeah, it is very
It's so
gross.
bad.
Tight ends.
Yeah, I think I'm with both of you. And I think I like what Ryan said too, like trying to go a roundabout way and making Dalton Kincaid sort of a throw-in on a trade where if you come out and say I'm interested in Dalton Kincaid, I think the owner of that person probably drafted him, fairly high. He's going to want similar value. But if you can get him as a throw-in on a bigger deal, you got a chance of getting him a little bit cheaper. So yeah, I kind of like that. But definitely not going to be going out of my way to get him because I mean he's been quite literally terrible. I mean, like I said, he had 50 yards this past weekend.
And he was being drafted as generally the 5th tight end off the board.
Yep.
So, in the middle of the 4th round, there's no way I'm giving up one of my 4th round players Because honestly, those are the players that have been producing this season.
Yep.
I mean, the first round picks have all had a really rough start. So it's been those third and fourth round picks that have been producing besides the tight ends. So I'm not willing to do equivalent at this point.
Agreed. All right, let's see what's next up on the wheel. All right, this one is from Ryan Heath, and sticking with the tight end theme here, Evan Ingram returned to lead the Jaguars with a 27.8% target share. His 24.6% target share in his 2 active games now ranks second at the tight end position, only behind
gosh.
Trey McBride. So, Ryan, let me get your thoughts. I know you were a big Evan Ingram guy.
You know I can't stop Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram's super talented, and the target show's there. They stink as a team. They're going to play from behind, and they're going to have to throw. So I'm cool chasing the volume, and I bet he finishes top 6 this year.
Yeah, I mean, he might even be top 6 now with the 2 games he's played.
I mean,
I don't know where he falls. He had, I think, a
Let's see.
good week 1 and a good week 6.
I will look it up for us.
All right.
but yeah, I can't stop Evan Ingram. I like the talent. He's trusted by Lawrence, who seems to trust nobody right now. So
I wonder if that's what's broken in this offense. I watched the whole montage of the game in London, and I know Trevor Lawrence played terrible, but they showed me a montage of 4 dropped touchdown passes. Literally hit the guys in the hands, dropped 4 different touchdowns. But Evan Ingram seems to be the guy that maybe makes that offense go. Maybe they get it turned around a little bit here with Evan Ingram back.
So points per game, he's 6th right now.
Yeah.
He's 41 total points. Points per game, he's at 9.9 PPR points.
Wow.
So it could be worse.
Could be worse. Could be worse. Susan, what are your thoughts on Evan Ingram here?
I mean, if you're in a full PPR format, like, get it. Go for it. Because he's going to get so many targets, especially tight end premium. My gosh.
Yes.
Like, he's the possibility, if you're in a tight end premium full PPR, he's going to be up there so high by the end of the season. So the offense is clearly not good. There is a problem. Last year, it was when Kirk was gone that they were struggling. Clearly, this season, Ingram is a cog that needs to be fixed to help them. So, yeah, I'd go for it.
Agreed.
And he's on waivers in he was on waivers in a couple of the leagues that I'm in.
Yeah, I'd believe it. In redraft, when he's injured for so long, he can definitely end up on waivers.
So go look.
Players who you forget to search for on waivers. Right there.
What was that, Ryan?
That's the kind of players you forget to search for on waivers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's get to another topic here. See if we can get something besides tight ends. Oh, that's the wrong picture there. Let's try that again. All right. It's Ryan Heath again. He's talking about Nico Collins talking about Tank Dell this time. He says, with Nico Collins out, Tank Dell took the lead among Texas receivers. Tank Dell led the team with a 28.1 target share. In 2 full career games without Collins, Dell now averages 18.8 fantasy points per game. Susan, I'll go to you first on this one. Tank Dell struggled coming out of the gate. It was kind of the Diggs and Nico Collins show. Now the Collins out of the way, it looks like it might be Tank Dell that's going to take the lead there. What are your thoughts on Tank Dell rest of the season? Because Nico Collins, we expect him to come back eventually, but where do you fall on Tank Dell?
Yeah, I'm getting him in my lineup for sure. It seems that for right now, Diggs has kind of become the end zone target, which is a little frustrating for Dell managers. But he is getting, 20% target share. Like, that is elite when it comes time for him to start catching passes. So, yeah, I am getting him in my lineup.
Yeah, 100%. I like what you said there, too, that Diggs is the touchdown guy when they get in close. Dell's specialty is catching those touchdowns, the explosive plays.
Taking it.
Yep, the 30-plus, 40-plus yard touchdowns. So those will come eventually. Ryan, what about you? Where do you fall with Tank Dell and his outlook rest of the season?
I like Tank Dell out the rest of the season. I think he can be like that low tech or wide receiver 2 range. Um, the volume's there. I think Stroud's very good at spreading the ball around, but I definitely believe that 20 plus market share is good enough to make him startable in almost all formats.
Yeah, and I think if you watch Stroud play, when Nico was healthy, when Stroud scrambled, out of the pocket, he always looked Nico Collins' way. Now I feel like Tank Dell's that guy. He has that confidence in Tank Dell. They played in college together. When he's scrambling out of the pocket and making things happen, I think Tank Dell is kind of similar to what Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill had for a while, where instead of checking it down just to get it out of your hands, don't take the sack. They look down the field. They look deep, trying to make a big play on those scramble plays. And I think Tank Dell's going to have some big explosive games this year for sure. So I love me some Tank Dell for sure. All right, let's hit the wheel again. All right, this one is from Austin Abbott. Austin Abbott FF on Twitter. Tyrone Tracy Jr. in his 2 weeks as the Giants RB1. He's got 100 plus scrimmage yards in both games, led all running backs in rushing yards in week 5, led all running backs in receiving yards in week 6. He has earned the Giants RB1 role moving forward. Now, whether or not he's earned it or not will come down to the Giants coaching staff. Susan, what are you doing with this backfield if Devin Singletary is coming back? Are you confident putting Tracy in your lineup still, or do you think it becomes a split and not worth starting either one of them?
I think it becomes a split. I don't know that he's not going to be worth starting. Either of them are going to be worth starting. It's going to be Tracy Jr. So if you got him on waivers, great, good for you. But I do think it's going to end up becoming a split backfield. He's done too much to just suddenly sit back to be the backup. I'm hoping that he will get enough of passing down work. Not obviously, nobody is going to be the Gibbs Montgomery situation, but maybe something a little less productive than them,
right?
That makes Tracy at least usable in a flex position.
Yeah,
when you need someone.
Gibbs Montgomery light, if you will, right?
Yeah, right.
And I agree. I think Tracy would be the one in the passing game because I think he's a converted wide receiver. He actually only played back for a couple years, so I could see him getting a lot of his value in the receiving game, which in fantasy, honestly, especially if you're playing at PPR leagues, that's where all your value comes from anyway. So, Ryan, where do you fall with the Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary split?
Where I said I always love Evan Ingram, I always hate Devin Singletary. I don't think Singletary's explosive back or brings any juice to that offense. Tyrone Tracy does. He was explosive when he had the ball. He broke off runs. He got in the end zone, and they were comfortable feeding him in the passing game. He already has more targets than Singletary has in the season. But he's going to be involved in that offense. Even if there's a split doesn't matter in the NFL. 60-40 split is as good as being the lion's share of the carries. I'm cool with him as a low end RB2 until I'm proven wrong.
Yeah, and
I think he should start. It shouldn't be a question. He's what they need in that offense, and it looked much better with him.
Yeah, and he's not a small guy. I looked up his numbers. He's 5'11", 210. That's a pretty big running back, and he ran 4.48. So he's
and their defense. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I said he's a burst to him too. It's not like he's fairly complete.
Right. Exactly.
And their defense is looking decent. I mean, the game was boring, but their defense, it looks pretty good. And so if the defense can keep the other teams, adding once Neighbors comes back, adding the explosiveness to the running back position, it's possible that this team can start getting something going if they can get their young players moving and shaken. So I think he's going to be an asset to keep for sure.
Agreed. I think in the long run, I think he eventually takes over that position. Maybe Singletary gets back in there, when he's healthy. But I do think that eventually Tracy's the way that they're going to go because he gives them more options, I think, overall in the passing game, running game. It's more dynamic with Tracy back there. So I agree with
And they haven't had their bye week yet, have they?
They have not. No.
So once we'll see what happens after the bye week.
Yep.
They'll see all of the nice 3-yard runs by Singletary and realize
Yeah.
what the right thing to do is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. This one is from Ben at Not Starlord on Twitter. He wants to know, could the additions of Cooper and Adams, of course, from Amari Cooper and Devontae Adams, who were traded this week, actually help Khalil Shakir and Garrett Wilson see more success? So we'll take these two in different parts here. We'll do Devontae Adams first. We haven't talked about this situation at all yet. So I'm going to go to you first, Susan. First, give me your thoughts on the trade in general. Devontae Adams, going to the Jets. And then do you think it helps or hurts Garrett Wilson in this offense?
Okay, first about Adams going to the Jets is all the people who were like, well, Rodgers got him fired. This does not help that.
No, it does not.
He tried to say, like, that was false. I, resent people saying that. And then your favorite wide receiver shows up in a trade. Okay, dude. Whatever. I do think it does kind of help Wilson out. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are able to be viable of their own. I mean, not right now, but in the past, they've been able to be viable each of their own. And I think that we may see that here because the defenses playing the Jets are going to have to account for both those guys. Now, Miami, they also have to account for Tua scrambling a little. Rodgers doesn't do that, but they are going to have to account for both those wide receivers and Breece Hall.
Yep.
So it's going to open up the field and give Rodgers more options. And it's possible that those options are going to be Wilson, just like sometimes it's Waddle when Hill's getting double teamed.
Yeah, I think just going to your point about Wilson and being double teamed, I think it was week 2 or week 3 they were talking about Wilson leading the team in targets. I know right now he's like first in the NFL by a large margin in targets. But Rodgers in the post-game presser said that, he kept going to Lazard because they were double teaming Wilson. So Lazard was getting his. Well, they're not going to be able to do that anymore with Devontae Adams over there. So I think Wilson might see a downturn in overall targets, but I think the efficiency of those targets is going to go up. And I think the offense in general is going to be better. What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on this Adams-Wilson thing here?
I think it's kind of double-edged sword. Garrett Wilson, I think he's been pretty appropriate where we have drafted, like that wide receiver 7 range. And a lot of it is because he has 67 targets. But he's also been super efficient. Like in the top 15 wide receivers, he's the only one averaging less than 10 a catch. So if we get Adams in there taking targets, gets his targets in front instead of 11 a game, 12 a game to 8 or 7, we need that yards per carry in the red zone to happen more.
Yeah.
The fear with them is, and with this team, they have a fantastic defense in general, which means they should have the lead more and may limit passing. I think it's a little bit of a dip for them. I don't think it's huge. And I think the same with Adam. Like it's a little bit of a dip because he's known absurd targets his whole career.
Yeah.
I think it's a little dip from both, but I think I think they could both be top 24. I just think the ceiling's capped before still there.
Yeah, I think the ceiling before this trade, Garrett Wilson was, preseason potential wide receiver 1 overall. That ceiling is obviously out the window at this point with Devontae Adams being there. But I think he's still.
I think the same goes for Adams.
What's that?
And the same goes for Adams.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Let's go to the other side with Shakir and Cooper. Susan, talk about Amari Cooper's trade first, and then does it help or hurt Khalil Shakir in the slot?
I mean, we've kind of talked about it with Kincaid. I feel like it's probably similar. Shakir is he was already somewhat of a boomer bust player. You were hoping that it was that he got the long pass and took it and went. So I don't know. I feel more confident in the Wilson Adams side than I do the Cooper Shakir side.
Yeah.
I think Cooper definitely benefits from getting a better quarterback, 100%, but they're also like bottom quarter for passing now. So I don't know that Cooper's going to get less targets because there are just less targets to go around in that offense now with Joe Brady.
Yep.
So it's kind of a wash for me personally. I definitely would rather have the Adams Wilson side. Not that we're talking about that, but
No,
I think that's a better combination.
agreed. What about you, Ryan? How do you think this Cooper and Shakir thing?
I'm out on Shakir. He's already spreading the ball around. I mean, you have 5 guys with between 19 and 30 targets on that team, and now you're adding somebody who truly deserves targets out of those receivers. I think I agree with everything she said. He's super boomer bust. I don't think that changes. If you had him in best ball, might be a boost for you. Other than that, you're never going to feel confident starting him unless you're in these huge leagues. I know I wouldn't. I'd be very upset about it. Because it could be him. It could be Keon Coleman as wide receiver too. Anyway, they could have some BS to Curtis Samuel or Matt Hall. Like there's a lot to go. The only person I'm confident with is going to be Cooper in that offense.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, does it pretty much kill any hope of Keon Coleman late breakout being a rookie? It pretty much kills that, right? I mean, it's Amari Cooper this year for sure.
Yeah, I think it could help keep Coleman in the future. Like just kind of learn from somebody who's a great route runner and a veteran around the league. But this year, man, I don't see the Coleman fantasy thing happening.
Nope.
One of the things I heard today, it may have been on the Footballers. I don't remember. I listened to too many podcasts today. They were talking about that this allows Coleman to do what he does best. He's not having to run down the field and be like the X. Like that's not what he was successful at in college. So maybe this helps Coleman a little in the fact that he's getting back and he's going to be able to be back into a role that is his forte.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I don't know that makes him fantasy relevant. I think it just helps him as an actual NFL player.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think we're probably looking at one receiver in this offense that we can count on week in and week out with the passing offense being what it is, not a lot of targets to go around. I think Amari Cooper is the guy, and then plug in your flavor of the week. It might be Shakir being the number 2 one week. Maybe Keon Coleman gets a big play the next week, but
yeah,
Cooper's the consistent one in and out. Whereas I think Adams and Wilson can coexist. I think both of them can be good receivers, good startable receivers week in and week out for sure. All right, we got time for a couple more topics here. All right, this one.
Why don't you show that comment at the bottom of the screen?
What's that?
Why don't you show that comment on the bottom of the screen?
I'll put it up in a minute. I knew Jenny would chime in about that. I'm a big Keon Coleman supporter, but we're talking redraft here, Jamie, not dynasty. All right, this one is from I don't even know how to pronounce that name. Ercia at ShadowFaxWriter on Twitter. Is there any reason to keep Calvin Ridley on my bench as a stash? This is more for redraft, Ryan. Calvin Ridley's been absolutely terrible in that offense. I think he had a big fat 0 this past weekend. I think he actually had a row of 9 yards.
He had a 0 on 8 targets.
Yeah. It's
a 0 on 8 targets is so bad.
Well, the coach was like, we need to get Calvin Ridley the ball. Yeah. So do it.
Listen, here's my advice on Calvin Ridley. Keep him till November 5th and see if he's traded. If he's traded, good for you. If not, get rid of him. Nothing with Will Levis or the future Mason Rudolph is going to be good for you in fantasy football. Hold him there. Pray he gets traded. He gets traded, maybe depending on landing spot. But he's real close.
Is November 5th the trade deadline?
Yeah,
I believe
that's the NFL
election
trade,
day,
right?
And the trade deadline. Yeah, the NFL trade deadline.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'll be watching Twitter.
Yeah.
That's a whole different show. But yeah, like I'm keeping him till then. I can suffer with him on my
Well, let
bench
me
for
ask
another
you,
couple
if
weeks.
you hold him through the NFL trade deadline and he does get traded, do you then trade him yourself with that expected increase in value?
Depends where he goes, but yeah. Imagine if he gets traded to the
Yeah,
Chiefs, the hype he'll get.
it'll
You
be
trade
yeah,
him
it'll be
immediately.
a huge amount of
Like
hype if he goes to the Chiefs.
there's multiple spots you need wide receiver ones with decent quarterbacks. Like there's some spots where you can get some trade value. Some you might just keep them and actually have a startable asset. But as is, this team's gross. I want no parts of
Yeah,
anybody.
agreed. Where do you chime in here on this Calvin Ridley thing here? Are you doing the same as Ryan? Hold him to the 5th, Susan?
Yeah, I had to start him last week because
Oof.
of buys and injuries and a 3 wide receiver start. And it's just like so depressing. It's just hard. There was so much hope. Like, yeah, Levis is gonna get it, getting in his second year, and it's just
Has
so
not
bad.
been.
The ridiculous pictures of the things that Levis is doing every week. Have y'all seen these?
Yeah.
Where it's just like every
Yes.
week there's some picture that a photographer manages to capture, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
The Spider-Man meme with him is
Yeah,
amazing.
I have not seen
yeah.
Yeah, oh Jeff.
that. I'm gonna have
It's
to
amazing.
look that one up.
He he is just a gift of
Well, he
football.
even like took out a chain gang
But like,
member the other day. Like,
oh yeah, he got
yes,
carted off.
a
Yeah.
He
chain
got
gang
carted
member had
off.
to get carted off
He
because
got
he
taken out on a stretcher.
ran right into him.
Yeesh.
Yeah. He's entertaining the way that Winston was if Jameis Winston was terrible at football. Like he's
Yeah.
that kind of entertaining value, which is somehow more
Fair
entertaining.
enough. All right. That's it for our roulette wheel tonight. Let's take a look and let's do our go ahead and hit our underdog props here.
Prop bet of the week.
All right, let me pull up the underdog screen here and we'll jump into our pick'ems of the week. All right. Ryan, are you prepared this week or do you need me to go to her first?
Go to her front. I wanted to do the easy one, but it's a Monday night game.
Okay.
That's a little bit
That's
boring
a long time to
to wait
wait.
that long. Give me- It's a long time to wait, and we all don't have my
Fair
patience.
enough.
I mean me.
All right, Susan, give me your pick'em of the week here.
All right, I'm taking Douglas over 45 and a half yards. He is getting the last 2 games, he got 9 targets, and when he gets 9 targets, he beats that by a mile. Now with Drake May coming in, clearly there's chemistry there, so I'm taking it over
I like
on
it.
on
Funny
Douglas.
'cause I was on your Instagram today, and I think you have him as your sneaky. What do you call it? Your sneaky player of the week.
My
or something?
gut grab of the week.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's called that because I I don't do like a crazy it's supposed to be like, I watch the games. He looks pretty good. Let's take this guy. I do the research to try to back up my picks a little, but um it's time for Pop Douglas to break out with Drake May.
Yeah, I love it. I think he caught his first touchdown this past weekend, I believe.
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
good stuff. All right, Ryan, you got one?
Go, Jeff. I have two. I want to go. I want to decide if we're
All
going,
right.
depending on yours, if I'm doing the
All right.
dangerous
So
one or the safe one.
mine, so I use an app called LineMate, and it shows trends in the NFL. Players that have hit their over or their under over a certain amount of games. And usually it's like 2 or 3 games the players hit, a certain mark, like 44 yards over, whatever the case may be. For the first time I've ever seen, a player has hit in the last 10 games, and that player is Jordan Love. He has hit 1.5 touchdowns or more in his last 10 games, which is ridiculously high. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the higher on that and hope that he goes 11 straight with that trend. It's a little bit tougher defense. He's had it pretty easy so far this season as far as defenses go, but I'll take Jordan Love higher than 1.5 touchdowns. All right, Ryan, what you got?
Are those anytime TDs? Like, is that a
It's
rush
just
or a
passing.
pass,
Yep,
or is
just
it
passing.
just passing?
One
Okay.
and a half. Yeah, like that. I really just want to do the Derrick Henry touchdown, but that's too easy. So I'm going Evan Ingram. I'm going Evan Ingram over 45.5. Put my money where my mouth is.
All
Always Evan
right. I
Ingram.
love it.
I really want to do the Derrick Henry. Just make it 4. Let's go big for the
Go
people. Let's
4. All right,
come.
we could do 4.
Throw the Derrick Henry anytime on there because it's like
It is.
clockwork, baby. The big man
It's
gets to the
happened
end zone.
quite often. So yeah, I love it. We'll go with 4 picks this week. We got a bonus pick in there. All right, let me recap it. We have Demario Douglas, aka Pop Douglas, higher 44.5 receiving yards. Jordan Love to go with 11 straight games of 1.5 passing touchdowns. We're going higher on that. Evan Ingram higher than 45.5 receiving yards, and the bonus there is Derrick Henry's anytime touchdown, obviously over half a touchdown rushing or receiving. We'll drop our $5 onto that, and we'll go ahead and hit the play. Hopefully my location is working now. I fixed it, I think. There we go. For the last couple of weeks, my location wasn't working, but it is working now, so we are back in business. The bet has been placed. Like I mentioned, we missed last week by literally 8 yards from Caleb Williams. I thought for sure we'd hit it because he had 4 touchdown passes. I was like, oh, we got this in the bag. But then I looked and he had, I think, 8 yards short of what we needed to get.
What a scrub.
All right, so that is the pick'em of the week. And as always, we will close out with our Forgotten Fantasy Player.
Get ready for goingfor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Susan, you're up here. Give us your hints for your Forgotten Fantasy Player.
Okay. I gotta pull up my
Sure.
my pictures just to make sure. All right. So this player was drafted in 1996.
So right when Ryan was
to start
born.
harder.
That was 11. Thank you very much.
He played for Syracuse. He has over the last 20 years, he recorded the 5th most receiving yards
Marvin
and
Harrison.
3rd most
Who'd you get, Ryan?
touchdowns. Yeah.
Marvin Harrison.
Oh, damn. How'd you
Yep.
get that so quick, right?
Nice.
Oh,
colleges,
yeah,
man.
colleges help
Old
Ryan more than they
colleges,
help
like
me.
right
Colleges do
2000. That it gets and there's not many good players from Syracuse.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep going with what because this is crazy. From 1999 to 2006, he finished number 1 overall in fantasy 4 times in that time, and from 2000 to 2006, he had over 1,000 yards. So, and that was over 1,100 yards, which was what 16 games then. So now players get two extra games to do that. So
that's a good pull. Yeah, right. Syracuse did nothing for me. Whenever I hear a college team, it does nothing. I don't watch college. I could even tell you half the players where they played. But you give college to Ryan, especially in that time frame. Like, Ryan's on point. So good pull, Ryan, for sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, Jamie, I know, but I thought I'd go just a little further back.
It's not the fastest.
Yeah, we've literally gotten it with one clue before. A couple of times we've done it with one clue. Ryan actually got it. He didn't even talk. He had a banner of the Dallas Cowboys behind him, and he just pointed to the Dallas Cowboy. And Ryan blurted out Marion Barber, and it was the correct answer. It's pretty awesome. All right. Well, that wraps up the podcast, Susan. I want to thank you for coming on. I know we tried to get you on last month. Unfortunately, I got sick and we didn't get you on, but it's good to get you on this month. You've been
this was fun. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you wanted to quickly plug your Instagram handle, I almost said Twitter. Your Instagram handle and wanted to plug.
So it's right there with my name. It's at gridiron_goddess. The website is thegridirongoddess.com. Beginner fantasy content. That's what I do for the ladies. I mean, it's not like super lady specific, but that's generally the goal. So
good stuff. I love it. Ryan, what you got going on?
Same old here Wednesday nights over the Rookie Big Board, Dynasty Big Board podcast Wednesday mornings.
Good
And
stuff. All right, as always, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Next week is going to be, this week, Friday. Our Friday show is going to be our 400th episode. So if you like DFS is our Friday show. Tune into Friday for our 400th episode. And then a week from Friday will be our annual Halloween show where I've got a pretty awesome costume that I'm excited to unveil on the show. So definitely want to check that out as well.
I have never seen you wear a costume.
We do it on the DFS show because Gersten and Tim both like to dress up. So I'm not much of a dress up person, but I do it for them. So all right, for Susan, for Ryan, I'm Jeff, and we will see y'all next week.